Welcome to the Bitcoin Art Podcast, the show where we explore how Bitcoin isn't just code, it's culture, philosophy, and art. Before we begin, I'd like to give a shout out to our sponsors, patrons, and the artists who have all helped make this possible. Today, we're sitting down with Kontext, a Bitcoin Stoic, musician, and artist. And we're going to be learning a little bit more about the parallels between Bitcoin and Stoicism. And I think we're going to learn a little bit about Kontext music as well. So great to have you here today. Thank you for coming up. Thank you for coming on. And how are you doing, Kontext?
I'm doing fine. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to speak to you again. We did it once a couple of months ago in December, and there's been some progress made on some of the things I was working on at the time. So I'm happy to dig into it again.
Awesome. Yeah, I do. I've got to go and see if I have it. We did it on a Twitter Spaces. And so I kind of started this whole thing on Twitter Spaces, but unfortunately, a bunch of the recordings, the audio is just terrible. So that's part of the reason we've switched over here to doing them, not on Twitter Spaces. So we'll see. I'm gonna have to see how the audio on that one is. I think you've got it. You uploaded it, and it sounds pretty good. So maybe I should upload that as well. I kind of batched uploaded a bunch as like Bitcoin Art Podcast, Twitter, like X Spaces episodes. So I got to finish editing those. But I'm excited to have you up here right now, and I know that you've been working on writing up. I think you've written quite a bit. How long did it end up being?
Well, the piece we'll be talking about today, and we talked about in the last one. And yes, I do the recording of it. I can send it to. I just ripped it from Twitter X. It's pretty okay quality. Not something too special. Not too bad. So it works. And yeah, it's already uploaded to the Kontext Experience podcast feed as well, if anybody wants to go and listen to it. And the piece we're talking about is Bitcoin from a Stoic perspective. I started writing it because I also wrote the book that we touched upon a little bit last time, A Stoic Resurrection, Notes from the Journal of a Modern Stoic, which is pretty much a collection of aphorisms and short form thoughts of my own from my journals that I collected into one physical piece of media. So, and one of the things that I do in that book is that I mention a lot about Bitcoin as well. And I figured I would do an essay just to further explain and bring out the similarities and the way that Bitcoin and Stoicism are congruent with each other. And Stoicism is sort of like the philosophical framework, and Bitcoin is that philosophy embodied in the realm of money. That's how I see it pretty much. And this essay turned out to be a lot longer than I expected. I don't remember the word count, but it's 27 pages in total, but 3 pages are like the title page, table of contents. So about 24 pages of text. So it's pretty comprehensive.
It's the beginning of a whole nother book there.
It's possible, yeah. I thought about it as well. Actually, it occurred to me that this is a topic that could be stretched out, not even like stretched out, but even like expanded upon from different levels. So it's possible, yeah.
Cool, man. All righty. Well, let's do this. How about we let me ask you a couple questions, and then I figure we'll just kind of go into, I don't know if you wanted to just if you wanted to just read some of the read like some of the highlights from the essay that you've written, maybe, and then we can link to where people can read the full essay. Have you published it online anywhere yet?
Yeah. Yes, I have. It's on. I started with just Noster.
Okay.
So it's published as a Noster long form note and Stacker News as well. Plus on my website, Satoshi, that's SATOSH.EE. There's a open source culture section on the website, and the essay is there as well as a PDF. You can get it for free, or you can name your own price if you want to pay something for it. So it's available in these 3 places at the moment, but I will also publish it to my Medium, Substack, and an audio version of it will be on my podcast feed as well at some point in the near future. So
awesome.
Yeah, that's where you can find it. Basically, if you go to kontext.ee, all the links are there.
Awesome. That's what I was just going to ask. The website. That's Kontext with a K.
Yeah.
KONTEXT.EE.
Yes.
And there's links to the Satoshi website, which you can also get special deals, gift cards, and promos for awesome Bitcoin companies and products at Satoshi as well. And
yes, indeed.
Yeah. And then also check out, you've got your links to your music from Kontext.EE as well, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let me ask you a couple questions, and then or let me ask you this: what were you thinking for today? I think you had mentioned wanting to talk a little bit maybe about your music as well. Shall we do? Let me ask you a couple questions, and then maybe kind of just can talk about writing this essay that you've written a bit and read some of the highlights from it, and then talk about your music for a bit. Does that sound kind of like a good flow to you?
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Sweet. All righty. Okay.
Did you want to start off with your questions?
Yeah, let me ask you a couple questions. If you're willing, and if there's a question that you don't want to answer, you're welcome to just say next question. All right. So, would you be willing?
Okay, sounds good.
Awesome. Would you be willing to tell us a little bit about your childhood? What sort of environment were you raised in, and who would you say were the people who shaped you the most?
As a child, well, okay, that's going back a long ways. So yeah, basically, I'm Estonian. I was born and raised in Estonia in a rural place back here in my childhood home at the moment, actually. As a matter of fact, after mostly traveling for the past 5-6 years, a lot of it in Australia, a little bit in New Zealand, a little bit in Southeast Asia. But yeah, as a childhood, I would say it was a pretty like normal, standard Estonian, countryside childhood.
Okay.
Like a small living, knows everybody. Had very good relationships with my family, relatives, pretty close knit sort of community and stuff. And yeah, I can't really bring out anything like too special or extraordinary from my childhood, I would say. But in terms of who or what influenced me, well, I do feel like the music part has been a big influence on me from quite an early age. I mean, it became more relevant and more pronounced around the time when I started becoming a teenager and such. But but yeah, even as a child, I mean, music and exploring sort of not only landscapes or soundscapes of frequency and of sounds, but also of words, lyrics, how they're interrelated to each other, how you can play with them, how you can say one thing and have many different meanings for the same thing, and how context gives meaning to the words. So if you take a word out of context, and yeah, that sort of thing has always fascinated me, and I think that's why I sort of got into the music. I wouldn't say business. I never got into the business as such, but as an art form, and I think it's one of the main reasons why it sort of evolved from there into writing about philosophy and stuff like that as well. So
I like that.
if that answers your question.
No, that's a great answer. Will you tell me the part about context giving meaning to words again? You kind of cut out for a minute there, and I just that was a good piece. I want to make sure everybody hears that. And I feel like that's a little bit of story of your moniker there, right?
A what?
It's a little bit. It's like a little piece of origin story for your nomiker, your alias, your pseudonym, Kontext. So.
Yeah, it is. So yeah, basically, like, I doxed myself already in 2022. First, when I got into making music, I intended to be an anonymous rapper as well. But in 2022, I switched gears and switched perspectives, and I switched a lot of things. But yeah, anyway, my real name, believe it or not, is Harder. So opposite of softer. Harder, better, faster, stronger. I'm Harder. Nice to meet you.
No way.
And from my real name, yes way. I can tell you my last name as well, because if anybody wants, they can Google it and find it in 5 minutes anyway. But my last name is Kink, which is especially like the combination of those names. Traveling in Australia and New Zealand for a while, it was always an amusing situation introducing myself to people. But at the same time, Kink in Estonian actually means gift. So gift cards in Estonian is kinkakaardid. So it's also one of the reasons why I decided to go on with the Satoshi and the Bitcoin gift card business. It was like, well, my name already says it. So
yeah.
But coming back to Kontext. So my real name is Harder, and I was already like quite big into listening to hip hop, and I had some other monikers as well when I was really young. But there's an Onyx track called Slam Harder. So from Harder, having Harder as my name, and from that song, I got the nickname Slam. And Slam somehow morphed into Slam Dunk Contest. And then one of my friends, either jokingly or by mistake, said Slam Dunk Kontext, something like that. And I liked Kontext because context is what gives meaning to the words. And I thought it went well together with my character. And I decided to spell it the way it's spelled, because right now it's spelled half like in Estonian, half like in English. So it begins with a K like in Estonian it would, but in the second to last letter is X. In Estonian it would be S instead of that. So I mixed up the English and the Estonian way of saying the word, because I was already writing lyrics and rapping in both of these languages at that time. So I thought mixing it up in the name would make sense from that perspective as well. So that's Kontext.
That's all awesome. That's some great context for us and the listeners about you. Cool,
Yeah,
man. Thank you
I
for
hope so.
sharing. All right, I guess yeah, so maybe would you tell me a little bit about your art and music journey? When did you start making music? When did you start writing? And I don't know, just a little bit more backstory on your own creative journey so far.
Yeah, okay. So the very first sort of lyrics and experimentations I made in terms of music was quite early for sure. I mean, it was my early teens, or like, yeah, I could have been around 12 or something like that. I probably started making some sort of attempts at writing lyrics.
Okay.
When I was around 16, I definitely already had recorded some lyrics as well, although it was very, very bad quality and not much in terms of technique, I would say. But yeah, I was messing around with it at the time, and around the time of like university time, I would say I started taking it a little bit more seriously, although it was still mostly for fun with my friends and stuff. We have sort of half hip hop, half comedy group. And then the first singles as Kontext, or like first songs I recorded and released in 2015. And then I made like a proper, what I think was proper, or like as much as I could at the time. I tried to make it into a profession as well. So did a proper attempt at becoming a professional rapper. Released like I think 5 singles and 2 mixtapes within 3 years, from 2018 to 2020. But none of it really got much of an audience or feedback or anything. And then in 2020, I was already in Australia as well, traveling there, doing some fiat jobs and stuff. And then the music sort of went into the background for a bit. And then around 2022, it was, another point of it was a time for me to sort of make some decisions about my life, because I realized I was like drifting along quite aimlessly for quite some time. And I had already made some, pretty bad decisions and mistakes regarding that. So around 2022, I started my second serious attempt at making music. I was in Byron Bay in Australia at the time, was doing street music, was doing open mics, was working on a fair few songs to finish and release. Most of them were on instrumentals by my younger brother. And I was also did a collaboration with a local Australian producer. We recorded a track together, made a music video for it as well. But overall, again, like I wasn't getting the results I wanted, not in terms of, maybe not as much, like the fact that I wasn't getting a lot of like audience and, I don't know, plays and likes and recognition and stuff, that didn't even bother me that much at the time anymore. But it was also about the fact that most of those songs that I was working on at the time, I wasn't able to get them to a level where I myself would be happy with them. So that was sort of what really kind of pulled the brakes on. And yeah, I was, as I mentioned, I was traveling in general, and I was already taking notes of my travels, of where I went to and stuff, but I wasn't journaling properly. I wasn't writing properly. The previous experience in writing and in public speaking, I guess, aside from the music stuff, was from high school, basically writing essays and stuff there. And it was something that I knew I used to be good at least, and I knew that I probably have some potential in that area. And in 2021, actually, I started writing a little essay about Bitcoin as well already, because I already felt that I had understood enough that I could actually bring something new and original to the table from my perspective. Although that essay never materialized, but still, I kind of started getting back into the writing practice as such as well. But yeah, basically towards the end of 2022, I realized I wasn't going to make it as a musician just quite yet. Pursued yoga, started a yoga teacher course. I took up yoga as a practice earlier that same year, and it turned out to be a very, how would you say, quite a groundbreaking sort of habit for myself as well, because it really started to materialize in my head, or like I started getting a real life confirmation of the fact that, the way we are in our physical bodies and the way we are in our heads, that it all is very much in correlation with each other and with like our spiritual well-being as well.
Mm-hmm.
And towards the end of the year, when I was doing the yoga teacher course, I ended up writing a little essay on that. I think we talked about that in the previous episode actually already as well. And at the same time, I started properly journaling as well. So instead of just writing down the things I did or people I met or the places I went that day, I also started writing down just random thoughts that popped into my head. And I was like working on some essays at the time. And then, fast forward about 6 months or so, I'm doing this road trip through Australia, and I'm listening to Marcus Aurelius' Meditations, the audiobook. I didn't have like much of a touch point with Stoicism before, like just fractions that I heard from here and there, some quotes and so on. And then when I was listening to Marcus Aurelius's Meditations, it was it was a funny moment. It was the philosophy allowed very, this is basically what I'm doing with my journals and with my notes. So the idea for putting the notes and the aphorisms and the short like trains of thoughts that I had into a book form started taking its roots around that time as well.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think that's the general overview of how I went from music to writing.
Awesome. And I guess, where you want to, I guess, tell us about this new essay that you've written. Maybe give us the summary, and then I don't know how you were thinking. Did you want to maybe just read some of the highlights from it?
Yeah, we can do that. We can definitely do that. So basically, essay is Bitcoin from a Stoic perspective. I can read you the summary or the conclusion from here, and then we can look at the different chapters of it, different aspects of it, and we can go maybe a little bit deeper with some things, maybe a little bit less. I think I remember pretty well what we already talked about in the last episode that we did, so I'll try to skim over those ones and maybe focus more on the ones that we haven't talked about yet. So
Okay. I think repeating a little bit's all right too, as this will probably be this is a a whole new format. So
yeah,
cool.
That's fair. Okay, well, the summary or the conclusion that I came, in some sense, it was already part of my thesis, or like part of my way of viewing at it, but learning more about it and actually like articulating, putting it down, verifying it, sort of solidified my belief that Stoicism and Bitcoin are very much in line with each other. And yeah, honestly, some parts of it were quite amazing to me as well. Like I can tell you about my main moment of amazement when I was doing research for this a little bit later. But here's the conclusion that I came to. The Stoics maintained that in order to live a good life, one must live virtuously, in harmony with nature, both one's own and the world's. They rejected reliance on outcomes, external judgments, and possessions, for we arrive in this world with nothing and leave with nothing. What unfolds in between follows the currents of fate, but how we conduct ourselves within those currents is ours. Bitcoin and Stoicism, separated by millennia, converge on a shared intuition, and that virtue emerges from action aligned with the logos. Both recognize that constraints are not the enemy of freedom, but its precondition. A game without rules is not a game at all. Mastery emerges not from abolishing limits, but from understanding and working within them. This framework mirrors reality. We are all bound by the laws of nature, and the key to a good life lies in accepting and working with these laws, not in trying to override them. The Stoics recognized that living in accordance with nature, with the logos, was the path to eudaimonia. Bitcoin demonstrates that a monetary system aligned with the laws of thermodynamics, mathematics, and human nature can foster both individual sovereignty and collective well-being. It enforces a system governed by transparent, immutable rules rather than discretion. It does not depend on trust in institutions, governments, or even its creator. Instead, it asks us to verify its validity, and something far more radical and fundamental, to trust ourselves. It makes a clear distinction between intention and action. Stoicism is not a system of metaphysics, but rather a set of guidelines for life lived in the real world. Similarly, Bitcoin does not care about what you think or what you say. It only cares about how you act. The journey of a Bitcoiner in many ways mirrors the discipline of a Stoic. It requires courage to withstand volatility and uncertainty, wisdom to understand a radically different monetary paradigm, justice in interacting within a system without arbiters, and temperance in resisting leverage and short-term excess. The protocol does not guarantee virtue, but it consistently rewards those who act with foresight and responsibility. Perhaps most profoundly, both Bitcoin and Stoicism remind us of finitude. The 21 million cap is a structural acknowledgement of scarcity. Scarcity creates trade-offs. Trade-offs create meaning. In a world of expanding money supply, instant gratification, and shrinking attention spans, fixed limits reintroduce consciousness and consequence. Consciousness of our role in the unfolding of the logos, and of where we are investing our most precious assets, time and energy, and consequence as we reap what we sow. Bitcoin is structure. Stoicism is orientation. Neither is salvation, but both, through discipline, may help us forge a way towards it. Resilience emerges where orientation, discipline, and structure meet. Bitcoin, then, is not merely a technology or an asset class. It is an invitation to live differently, to align our economic reality, choices and their consequences, and to build a future on a foundation of truth rather than the shifting sands of political expediency. In a world shaped by incentives, a monetary system governed by rules that rather than rulers naturally harmonizes with a philosophy that prizes discipline over desire and reason over impulse. In this sense, Bitcoin may be the closest we have to a Stoic monetary system, resistant to corruption, impartial, and ubiquitous, but the freedom to be responsible for ourselves. So that's the conclusion.
That's I really feel like it's the beginning in some ways of a whole nother book that's just a deep dive, kind of like you said, extrapolating on Bitcoin and Stoicism. I know that there's a lot of people who have studied both in this space, and there's a lot of there's a lot of good Marcus Aurelius quotes thrown around by Bitcoiners, but it's your writing's very beautifully written. Yeah.
Thank you.
Hey.
And yeah, it could be start of a new book.
Yeah.
I haven't made that decision as such yet, but yeah, I mean, we'll see.
Yeah.
Once I get the audio version up there, once I get it up on different platforms online as well, then I can start looking ahead into the future and think about what this all means. And yeah, I mean, one of the reasons I wrote this was to sort of to remind ourselves. I mean, the book that I put out, that is literally a collection of reminders to myself and to anybody else who cares or gets any value of it. But also the essay is to remind ourselves of the fact that things, like Bitcoin, things that even relationships and things that we value at the very, very top levels of our value hierarchies. All of these things basically are in the end, they're tools, and they're tools for us to learn and to become better people. And one of the goals of this essay is to remind of Bitcoiners why they need philosophy and why they need maybe Stoicism, or to at least think about those things. And at the same time to remind the Stoics and the philosophers and stuff that about Bitcoin, and to bring that into the purview of that whole worldview of values and of meaning, I guess. And there is, I think, the field of work in that sense is still very much unexplored and open for people to get into it and stake their claims. So I'm happy to be one of the people on that journey, and would like to encourage others to do the same.
Absolutely. And I think it's more important now than ever with the inevitable mainstream adoption, or the inevitable suit coiner adoption of Bitcoin that's happening right now, and that we're at a fork in the road in some ways, one of many forks in Bitcoin. But a fork in the road of the culture of Bitcoin, and what is Bitcoin, and I imagine this will always be sort of, it's subjective, right, to whoever it is, and Bitcoin can be whatever you want it to be, but is Bitcoin just a digital currency, or is it more than that? Is it an idea? And I think that right now there's a lot of people that have been feeling, that the culture of Bitcoin has been, as I imagine in some ways it always has, as in some ways it always has been, and I imagine in some ways it always will be attempted to be co-opted for one purpose or another, and people see it through different lenses, and Bitcoin is whatever you want it to be, but that there has been a strong culture of freedom minded individuals and philosophy around it, and a striving and a desire to live better lives. And at the base, of Bitcoin, even as just simply a financial investment vehicle, the goal of acquiring wealth is to have a better life. And you don't have to go very far to learn that simply being wealthy doesn't equate having a good life. So I think that the ideas of striving for a maximum human potential, in each of our lives and as a society, is incredibly important and mustn't be forgotten. And I don't think will be by many, but there's also many that will, come to Bitcoin or interact with Bitcoin and, maybe never truly understand the idea of it. So anything that we can do to help provide the resources for or share the ideas and the philosophies behind Bitcoin, I think are just really, really important right now, of always, but right now, especially with the, Wall Street adoption and political class taking more interest in Bitcoin, and, so
I completely agree. And
go on.
Yeah, well, I was just about to make a comment that, gold in its basic form is, a sound money as well. But what happened to gold? Basically, we let it evolve, or should I say maybe devolve into fiat.
Yeah.
Gold used to be money, and then it was. We can let that happen with Bitcoin as well. With it, if we use it in a self-sovereign way, if we don't let get carried away by the siren calls of borrowing more money into existence, and of making Bitcoin backed fiat currencies or whatever, like if we can hold the line in that sense, then we have a good shot at realizing its potential as an actual freedom technology.
Absolutely. And I think it's, it comes in a lot of ways from the culture and from the philosophy and from the idea of Bitcoin, because it's, the code that we choose to run or that's chosen to be run it's an idea, and it's a language and an idea and a language that's spoken. And if, it can very easily turn into a language of control and all of the things that we don't want it to be, such as paper Bitcoin, price manipulated paper Bitcoin. So I think the culture is really important, and the ideas and the philosophy behind it are really important. So
I think so as well. Yeah.
I don't.
Right.
We're pushing almost 40 minutes right now. So I don't know. Are there any other parts is there any other parts of the essay that you would like to read here with us now, or do we want to kind of keep this just more casual, and we'll send people over to listen to the audio version or read it themselves?
Whatever you prefer, my man. I can do either or.
Okay.
I have it printed out here. I can read something else, or yeah, you can ask me some questions or throw some ideas into the air and we can riff. What sounds better to you?
I'm cool with either. Let me ask you, were there any, when you were writing this, so you wrote this, we had our last spaces and you shared with us some just some of the really, really wonderful parallels between Stoicism and Bitcoin. And then since then you've written this essay, and when you were writing it, was there anything that you thought of that was like just super aha moment, or any sort of epiphanies that you had, or anything that you were like, I don't know, that you feel would be extra interesting to share? Any thoughts you had, any feelings you had, anything in the process of writing this? Maybe any parts where it was difficult, I don't know, any notable experiences, feelings, thoughts, or moments while writing this?
There was, yes, there was. So yeah, basically, yeah, people can go and read the piece, or they can go and listen to the earlier podcast if they want to get a little bit of a
Context.
What's the context here? Yes. But like the most like awesome moment for me, or incredible moment, was when I found out this idea that the Stoics were basically anarcho-capitalists, like in a very strong sense. Let me see if I can find that particular place. Yes, right. So I have an actual large or like a lengthy chapter on Stoicism, praxeology, libertarianism, and anarchism as well, where I bring all of these isms and practices into the field, and I guess drawing parallels between them and how they sort of complement each other, or sometimes they convey the same thing in slightly different wordings, as is with the case with this, I believe. I mean, another thing that I wrote a while ago, I touched on it briefly the last time we spoke about it as well, is I wrote this metaphysical piece called Unified Creation Energy Theory, which is like my description of the nature of reality, which is basically energy expressed in layers. But yeah, coming back to the most surprising thing about the research was that Zeno of Citium, the founder of Stoicism, is said to have envisioned a society in which temples, lost book republic. So if that doesn't sound like an anarcho-capitalist utopia to me, to you, then I don't know what does. Like I think that's, yeah, that was just like crazy to read. I was like, wow, Stoics were anarchists. That's crazy. I already like knew. I put this in the cosmopolitanism section of the essay. I already saw themselves as citizens of the world, mostly. I have a quote from Seneca here: "I am not born for one corner; the whole world is my native land." But yeah, finding that Zeno had envisioned of this anarcho-capitalist utopia, basically with no borders or no national currencies, and also without even a courts system. And that was pretty mind-blowing to me.
That's fascinating. Will you tell me a little bit more about the utopia you speak of?
Well, the thing is, the ideas of Zeno, they're not very well recorded, because apparently there's no surviving texts from him directly. But he had, at least according to the internet, if we can trust that, he had written a book called Republic, where he basically made his own version of Plato's Republic and of his idea of like the ideal society. And in that, he in there, people would be, living without laws, basically, or without coercion by the state, at least, to abide by any, like, because I'm going to quote another Stoic here. I don't know if Zeno thought exactly the same or not, but anyway, Seneca said the whole world is a temple of the immortal gods. So basically, like, the whole world is sacred. I have similar idea in my own book. I have your whole life is a ritual. Your whole life is sacred.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, I think, the main idea behind, like, the not having the temples. And he also mentions specifically, like, currencies. Generally, the Stoics, as far as I understand, they don't really talk that much about currencies, although I write about it in the essay as well. Although at the same time, when they were working, debasement as a thing was already a thing as well, in ancient Rome. Mm-hmm. and ancient Greece, because they literally debased the currency by reducing the amount of precious metals in the coins while retaining the face value. Mm-hmm. So again, like, we have hard money in principle, but in reality, it's always getting corrupted. But yeah, interestingly enough, the Stoics didn't really, like, mention a lot about currency or the debasement of currency, although they were, justice as a virtue and as a way of life was one of the highest priorities for them. Mm-hmm. But yeah, Zeno apparently in his book already envisioned a world where there are no currencies divided by city-states, at least. So it would either imply that there's no currencies at all, which is, like, very utopian, or a one world currency, which is, a little bit less utopian, but in some sense still a little bit utopian. Yeah. At least looking from the modern perspective.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I can say about Zeno and his Republic and his vision of a society. But yeah, I think it's, like, even that, like, short description is aligns quite well with, like, this anarcho-capitalist or libertarian sort of dream of a world where people live according to their own view of life and according to their own understanding of reality and of society and their place in it, and where we don't need the big brother or the big daddy government looking over us and then telling us what to do and what not to do. So
Absolutely. That phrase where there's no currency divided by the state, that's from his book, The Republic, from his book Republic?
Yeah, it's not directly, but it's someone else who apparently had read it at the time, or was familiar with it and was writing about it. So it's sort of paraphrasing Zeno, I guess, basically.
Okay. I mean that's a feels like a pretty powerful phrase, and definitely on, yeah, in line with, as you're saying, the anarcho-capitalist libertarian ideas, and no currency divided by the state. I feel like that's
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
And
it's interesting. It's we call it a utopia, because the idea of it is utopian. But hopefully that is what Bitcoin can achieve, is a society with no currency divided by the state. I mean, that's a pretty succinct phrasing right there.
Yeah, and hopefully it's not as utopian as as we might see it at the moment. I mean, yeah, I think for Bitcoiners it probably isn't utopia, but it's also like it isn't. We like to think about, and we like to extrapolate our current views of what Bitcoin is and of what the world is, and sort of imagine the future about it, and think about what happens when hyper Bitcoinization is upon us and everything. But the truth is also that we're very early. So in some sense, it is a little bit of a utopia at the moment. But I think in the long term, it's not a utopia. Actually, it's if we decide to take those steps, if we decide to use Bitcoin as it should be used, then I think there's a lot that we can fix in the world, basically, through that.
Absolutely. There's also this, it's kind of interesting. I feel like awkward using the word utopia, and I think the reality is that it's not, is that it shouldn't be, and that the idea of a currency not divided by the state isn't a utopia. That's that should be, and that is our inalienable human right here on earth and in this experience, is to have a good life where our most underlying base currency isn't being divided by the state. I mean, I feel, as we're all, children of God, and here, here on earth, and it is only up to us, I guess, to use Bitcoin in the right way, or whatever it is, to just be able to live a life that isn't being constantly debased and devalued at its most fundamental level of societal interaction, commerce, and exchange. So
yeah, completely agree. It's definitely not a utopia if you watch it from, if you just like remove yourself from the current sort of cultural and educational conditioning, and it's like if you remove yourself from that mind state of I'm a citizen of this and that country, and I have to follow these and those laws, and I have to pay these taxes and these bills and back, and think about if none of that existed, like, and if you were to put together a new system, like how from the ground up, how would you build it? Like, it's like, why would you even need different currencies between different continents and different countries or different patches of fucking land? Like, you can use one currency and then stop all the all the manipulations and machinations that happen with trying to mess with that currency and trying to corrupt it to one's own ends.
Yeah, it's interesting. It seems like as technology has advanced and we're more and more of a globally connected world, that a one world currency only makes sense, and that the powers that be are using the invisible lines of borders to just continue control and enslave one another. And I can understand back a long time ago when it was isolated tribes or small nations, that the overlap with one another was minimal, that each place had its own currency.
Mm-hmm.
But today with the internet, which is it's kind of, I guess, beautiful that Bitcoin has come about, and it's that is what Bitcoin is, as the world is connected by the internet and by other technology like airplanes and boats, faster boats and so forth, that the individual state created monies in different parts of the world is really just a way of enslaving one another. So hey, I guess, yeah, you had mentioned talking a little bit about your music. Did you want to, I don't know, you want to share a little bit about your music? Have you been making any music lately?
Yes and no. I mean, yeah, like I do it for fun quite often at the time, at least anyway, because back in my home place, I have the necessary rooms for it, and I have my mics and everything, so it's easy to do it just for like entertainment purposes only.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm not actively working on any new songs at the moment. I do have like the last song that I released as a single. I did in 2024. I recorded it in New Zealand actually, but it's a song in Estonian on an instrumental by my younger brother again. And I have like an extra verse for that song that I've written and that I need to record and then probably release. Would be nice.
Okay.
But yeah, other than that, it's mostly for own entertainment purposes. One of the things me and my friends often do. Sometimes I've posted a few like small skits or small fragments of those sessions on my Noster and X and YouTube as well. But basically, what me and my friends sometimes do is we throw a bunch of like random, semi-random instrumentals together. Well, one of the things why I haven't made much music is that I've done some instrumentals myself, but I'm way worse in making instrumentals than I am with lyrics.
Okay.
So making instrumentals was always sort of a pain in the ass for me. And for a lot of my lyrics, I don't have original instrumentals. So basically, if anybody's listening to this and you make beats, feel free to reach out. I'd be more than happy to give your things a listen. And yeah, if it works, if it resonates, we can make some music together. But yeah, coming back to what I was saying about throw together a bunch of beats into an Adobe Audition multi-track recording. It would usually be just like one mic and one guitar. I would be on the mic and my friend would be on the guitar. Or sometimes if the other friend is rapping, then we have either two mics or switch rappers after each beat. But yeah, basically it'll be like sort of half freestyling, half doing pre-written lyrics on different beats, trying out different things, sometimes taking lyrics from other well-known songs or not, and trying to rap them or sing them or do all sorts of things. For example, just the other day, me and my friend were recording, and I took some old Estonian poetry and I tried rapping the poetry. I've done that before as well with lyrics with this person's poems, but yeah, it's always an interesting challenge as well to do. But yeah, in general, the music thing as an art form or as a profession is a little bit on the background for me at the moment. I'm still trying to figure out just basic things about myself. You know, I do have the idea of continuing writing and continuing art in general, and one of my like overarching goals is to inspire people to do similar things, because, or like not even similar things, but to find those deep wells of like meaning and purpose. What's the word here? Like we live pretty like a lot of our existence goes to just existing, and that's in a lot of, in a deep sense. I think it's also related to the whole fiat paradigm and the sort of prison planet paradigm that we're operating in, where a lot of our, you know, life energy in forms of capital, in forms of money, is being taxed away from us, or being debased away from us, or, you know, being so it's often very difficult to even find that inner strength to pursue those things that are not directly related to our day-to-day survival. But yeah, overall, like one people, and to help them find those sources of inspiration and life energy that you don't find by just doing your tasks, but you have to explore either the world from the inside by you know, going inside, meditating, you know, turning yourself off from the outside world, or from the outside by traveling around and by interacting with people from other cultures and other countries, and you know, learning about the world in that sense. Yeah, I'm not sure where I'm going with this rant, to be honest. I don't remember where this.
No, you're good.
Lands.
Yeah, I hope listening to this inspires somebody to go and write a poem or drop a freestyle if they used to do that and they don't anymore. I used to write a lot. I used to write poetry.
Yeah.
I would freestyle with my friends, and I haven't done any of it in years now. I kind of got more into visual arts, and then, you know, it's interesting. It's kind of a vulnerable spot, I think, for some of us, at least, who haven't like kept up with it. You know, I know for myself, that's how I feel about it. So, but there is yeah, I mean, the you know, age of TikTok and the fast and the short and the has kind of, I feel like, just really in a okay, I mean, there's a lot of amazing creatives out there and poets and people still writing poetry and rapping and freestyling and stuff, but it does feel in some ways, you know, the overarching mainstream has I don't know, yeah, kind of choked off a lot of that, like, deeper sort of poetic inspiration, I feel like. And hanging out, I guess if you only follow other poets and rappers and lyricists on, your social media, you're probably you're probably in a very creative spot. But I think a lot of us end up on the For You feed too much, just watching, the atrocities and the atrocities of clown world. And it definitely kills the vibe for poetic inspiration, for myself at least. So. Conversations like this are good.
It's
slow it all down a little bit and think about
it. Can
yeah.
It can definitely kill the vibe, and that's why I remind myself and try to remind others as well to turn that shit off from time to time and just be with your own thoughts, even if your own thoughts are dark and bad as well. Like, at least you can do something about them. Like, what's going on in the world, like most of that stuff you have no control over. So dichotomy of control, like, let it go, do the things that you can control.
Yeah.
And the thing about vulnerability is interesting as well. Yeah, it's a big part of art in general. And it's like, for me personally, it's still sometimes at least, it's very difficult still as well to put myself and put my ideas out there, because I'm an introverted person. I'm a shy person by default. So I don't really want to be out there as such, and I don't really want to be judged and criticized and whatever, or even idolized. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I was anonymous in the first place. I was like, I'm more than happy to make music, but fame and like getting recognized on the streets and like stuff like that, like I don't want that.
Yeah.
So it's putting your art out there especially is takes a lot of getting over your own insecurity. But yeah, it's I mean, in a lot of ways, it's again like comes back to this general, very materialistic and very constrained, where we're like, like I said, one of the reasons why my music is in the background at the moment is because I'm yeah, that's what I was talking about earlier. And when I went off on that rant, where I was trying to get at was was that one of the reasons why my music is in the background is because I'm trying to figure out myself, my place in the world, and how I can provide value to it, and keep the food on the table and pay the bills and all of that.
Yeah.
And that is one of the like biggest tragedies about the fiat system, is that we, by default, like we're always looking for that thing that brings us not instant gratification, but at least something that can sort of like pay itself off in a month or a year or 2 years max. We can't really, often at least, we cannot afford to do those things that maybe have no monetary. A lot of us can't go and I don't know, spend 3 months or 6 months or a year on some island somewhere, or not even an island, maybe just just not going to a 9-to-5 job or something and working on their poetry or paintings or graffiti or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's we're always looking for that that validation from the outside world that what we're doing is valuable, and we're looking for that I guess monetary reward for it, because like, yeah, one thing is the fact that we want to be socially accepted, and we want to like state of affairs, but also the other part is the fact that we're constantly feeling like we need to monetize everything that we do in order to like keep up with the world, basically.
Absolutely. That yeah, the
a little bit.
Yeah, the pressure, the pressure of the, I think it's like the race to the bottom of the continually debasing, the currency being continually debased creates such a race to the bottom and creates such a pressure, like you're saying, to just, you know, be able to meet our basic, for most people, be able to meet their basic needs each month. And it really, it really isn't conducive to, like you said, taking the time to go and just hone a craft or do something that you love just for the sake of, that you love it maybe. And, I've experienced that a lot with surfing. I grew up surfing, and, looking back, I wish I had have tried to, treat it more professionally or do something more professional with it, but I didn't. I grew up surfing, and I was always just felt kind of like a soul surfer, and it was just something that I did for fun and to get exercise. And, as life goes on, as life has gone on, figuring out, how you're paying the rent each month and putting food on the table, makes it harder and harder to spend, hours and hours at a time just floating out in the ocean, surfing waves. So
Yeah, at least not, at least by, being out there and also enjoying it at the same time, and not thinking about, oh, I should be doing this, I should be doing that. That's a joy kill in and of itself.
Yeah, absolutely. I can recall many times surfing and thinking like, what should I be doing for work, and how am I going to be successful while I'm out surfing? And, so it's, and say,
Yeah.
I have some, I have quite a few musicians quite close to me, and I've always wanted to like sit down and learn to play the guitar. And maybe I'm making excuses because, I could practice playing a guitar 10 minutes a day, and I could have been doing that. So, there's no real excuse. But to your point of like taking off 3 months or 6 months and going and hanging out in a cabin somewhere and just practicing playing the guitar, teaching myself to play the guitar, and, making some music, maybe recording some music, often feels very out of reach, so yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, but luckily, yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, hopefully we can see, I don't know if we'll see any kind of hyper Bitcoinization in our lifetimes. I mean, hopefully we do, but hopefully Bitcoin is an avenue, and for all of us in it right now, at the least, to be able to get a little bit more time doing what we love. I know there's been a lot of people who Bitcoin has done that for already, so but hopefully it's on a wider, more societal level, and it helps allow more wonderful and beautiful art be created. Because at the end of the day, what are we all for if not to create beautiful things? So
Couldn't agree more. And yeah, I guess I'm one of those people who has really enjoyed the privilege of financial freedom, or for a short period of time, this sort of freedom of expression and freedom of action, that I was able to like dive deeper into things that really called me, such as music, such as writing, such as yoga, and to travel at the same time. So I feel like I owe so much to the world and then to Bitcoin, and yeah, that's one of the reasons why I'm constantly putting my creations out there as well, because I feel like that's, in some sense, the world already paid for all of that. So it's my job to not to like keep it to myself. But it's also quite strange, or like I don't know. problem is in my own expectations again, but or perhaps in my own amateurishness, if that's a word, or if I pronounced it correctly. But yeah, anyway, I used to have this, or like, I still think that it's not out of reach, but as a sort of creative person, I used to think that, you know, making just like sort of making ends meet, making $1,000 or $2,000 a month online as a creative person, it shouldn't be that difficult these days. But I don't know, for some reason it is quite difficult, and I don't quite understand how it is. Like, is it the fact that I'm not, you know, finding my own niche that well, or my audience, or is it difficult in general? Like, I can't tell, but yeah, I find it a little bit strange that it's like, I feel like it should be a more attainable goal at this point in time. But yeah, maybe it's just me and my expectations.
No, I think it's just incredibly difficult all the way around. I think the competition is extremely high. You know, I know that. You know, I mean, we're seeing it right now with, I think, with technology being disinflationary in itself, and as over these last years, technology has advanced so much, and yet they've printed so much money, they've devalued it so much. I mean, doubling the US dollar supply through COVID. I mean, if you just go look on even like Zillow or something, and you look at what houses sold for just before COVID to what they sold for during COVID, it was like, it's like everything doubled. Like, the price of a house doubled during COVID, and that makes sense. They doubled the monetary supply. And at the same time, technology is advancing and making it easier for everybody anywhere to you know, monetize digitally, remotely. And now we've got AI just laying off thousands of people at a time, and we've got more kids than ever before. I'm pretty sure, like, graduating from school with degrees. So I mean, the global workforce is like, you know, like there's some discrepancy, and there's just a high level of competition. I know from friends that live in like LA or in the bigger cities, like, you know, the amount of people who now have degrees in creative fields that are all vying for the same jobs and the same attention, you know, digitally. It's just freaking hard out there. And it's as long as they keep devaluing the money, it's just going to keep getting harder and harder. So I don't know. I think it's going to probably get a lot worse before it gets better. But until the money stops getting devalued, you know, the disinflationary, you know, positive of technology and technological advancement, like, we're not going to really, I feel like we're not really getting to enjoy it. Or a select few are, you know, but the majority of people, it's, you know, I don't know, it's not a great spot out there right now. And then on the other hand, you know, we've got more, you know, the poor man today lives more lavishly than a king did, you know, back in the olden times, at least in the West. So, you know, there's lots of sides to it, but no, I feel the attention economy of trying to be a creative and monetize it's just incredibly difficult, you know. So
yeah, that's a very important point, because the war for our attention is very fierce, and like you said, it's also related to the money supply, and that, you know, it's there's so many things that are fighting for our attention anyway, And then, yeah, the very fact that we're, constantly being taxed and debased and, fucked over this and that one, the third way, it means like, yeah, we have to then pay more attention to that economic side as well, and to pay the bills and to go to the job and work the 40 plus hours a week. And, that's, it only exacerbates the problem, basically.
Yeah. And I mean,
it is it is abundance from one sense, but there's, it's being also siphoned away from the other, or like there's an abundance of information and knowledge, basically, but yeah, the attention with which we can attain it and tend to it is very scarce. So that's the crux of the problem, I feel like.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, as far as the whole creative fields, I experience it every day. It's like you're an artist, but if you want to make money doing it, whatever the art form is, you need to be a social media marketing master at the same time. And it's like that's
yeah. I'm so sick of it.
It makes it hard to practice, to practice your craft when you're having to spend so much time just marketing your craft. And I mean, with my own artwork and with the magazine, I spend far more time doing, working on the website, doing social media posts, trying to do social media engagement, thinking of marketing ideas, doing, like as a small business back end, trying to figure out why something is down. There's a bug in the website, it's trying, working on making a video of the painting that I was working on, and writing a description for it, and all of the parts and pieces to present it end up taking, and to try and market it end up taking more time than actually creating stuff. And I mean, it's why you've got all of these, I feel like you've got a lot of extremely talented artists in all different fields out there, and they never are able to monetize it at all, or very little, just because it takes so much to be able to market it. And so, yeah. It's it's crazy time we're living in. But hey, I gotta shout out, if anybody, I've got a free, for anybody who's made it this far and is listening, there is it's a $42 coupon to bitcoinartmagazine.com. The coupon code is Poetic Kontext 42. That's capital P and a capital K, and that's context with a K. So Poetic, capital P, Kontext with a K, 42. Poetic Kontext 42. That's a $42 coupon that gets yourself a free copy of the Genesis edition of Bitcoin Art Magazine. We're going to be dropping a coupon for a free copy of the magazine in each episode for the next month or two here. I'm still doing it. So first come, first serve. Whoever grabs it, grabs it. And once again, I want to shout out.
That's awesome. And yeah,
Go on.
Yeah, go for it.
I just got to shout out.
Give your shout out. I'll shout out your.
All right. I got to shout out all of our sponsors in the magazine, who purchased advertisements in the magazine. All of the sponsors in the magazine are hand selected. They're all companies that I either use myself or would recommend friends of mine, friends and family, to use. So it's pretty highly selective who we are allowing to sponsor us. We don't want to be recommending anything shitty. So big shout out to all of our sponsors. Big shout out to all of the patrons who have ordered magazines and books so far. And a huge shout out to all of the artists out there making beautiful art and who have allowed this thing to be possible at all. So I just want to say thank you. And yeah, and shout out to you, Kontext, for taking the time with me here today and doing everything that you're doing.
Thank you. And yeah, I was just showing this. I received my copy just yesterday, or the day before. I don't remember. Just very recently, of the Bitcoin Art magazine, Genesis edition. I'm very, very impressed with it, to be honest. Like I knew it was going to be good, but I didn't expect it to be that good and that like that long and that comprehensive. But yeah, it's a very cool piece of Bitcoin culture. I definitely recommend getting this. Get the code if you can. If you can't, if you can afford it, just buy it. You're supporting great stuff, and it's very obvious that a lot of work and a lot of preparation and a lot of attention went into putting this together. So shout out to you, Asanoha and Kisa. Kisa, is it how you pronounce those names?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So
yeah.
Awesome.
Cool.
Kisa.
Well, I appreciate you, man.
Shout out to both of you and everybody who.
Hey,
everybody who put their works in there. And
yeah. Hey, so I think, and are we gonna, I think you were working on a summarized version of your essay that we're gonna be putting in edition 1. So that'll be in the next issue of the magazine. So
hopefully I haven't finalized the summarized version, but I'll try to get it done rather quickly.
Okay.
So yeah, depends on your cutoff time and when I'm actually able to finish it, but should be ready fairly soon.
Okay. Worst case, it'll go in edition 2. So, but I'm excited for that, and I'll send you a DM after this regarding it. And yeah, man, no, it's been great having you up here today. We're pushing almost an hour and a half, so I say let's wrap it up. I feel like we could go on a lot longer, but I am trying to keep it a little bit shorter just for the short attention span of most people out there. So I would say that we definitely need to do another episode at some point here. And I'm really excited to listen to and or read your essay that you've written here. So I just want to ask again, do you have it uploaded anywhere yet? Did you do the audio version yet, or you're going to be doing an audio recording of it, and that will be uploaded to your RSS feed? And then have you uploaded the written version yet anywhere?
Yeah, so the written version is online on Noster.
Okay,
and my Stacker News.
Yep.
You can find links to them both at kontext.ee. That's context with a K. And you can get the PDF from the open source culture section of Satoshi. That's SATOSH.EE. We also have Bitcoin-based gift cards and discounts there, so you can check those out as well. But you can get the PDF there. And for the audio version, it's not online yet, but I have it recorded. I think I don't need to record anymore. I have to check. I have to do some post-production. But yeah, the audio version will be uploaded to the Kontext Experience podcast feed and also to Satoshi, SATOSH.EE, the same place where the PDF is. And yeah, that's where we're at the moment with this piece.
Awesome. I'm gonna see. I kind of want to wait for the audio recorded version to listen to the whole thing from you, but I might have to just go and read it myself here. So yeah, anybody listening, check this out. This is a very well written, well thought out piece of writing from Kontext here. And also check out his book if you're interested in Stoicism. You can find info on that at his website, kontext.ee, as he mentioned. And yeah, man, it's been great having you up here today. And I hope you're doing well wherever you're at in the world right now. And yeah, I appreciate everything you're doing.
Likewise. Keep up the good fight, and I'd be more than happy to to talk to you again.
Awesome. All right, let's do it, man. You have a wonderful rest of your day. I don't know. Do you have any last things for anybody who made it all the way through here?
No, well, just one thing. It was sort of related to something that you mentioned a little while ago. I wanted to make that comment, but the moment passed, and I'll just make the comment during the end.
Yeah.
So we talked about not how hard it is to sometimes to take off some time and to go and do your own thing and stuff, but oftentimes, like, yeah, it can be beneficial. But oftentimes, breakthroughs, they're not really breakthroughs. They're really just days and weeks and months of years of building habits and, building skills and building yourself, basically. So, the main thing is, or like how we can all sort of chase our dreams in whatever position we are in or whatever we are facing in real life as such. We can always take 10 minutes of the day, 15 minutes of the day, 30 minutes of the day, maybe just 5 minutes of the day to work on that one thing, on that one craft. That's something that that makes you light up inside. That's something that you cannot to think about how you would like to be remembered, how you would like to make your mark on the world. And if you're not a professional writer, if you're not a professional musician, if you're not a professional artist, that's okay. You don't have to be. You can be an amateur. You can love the thing that you do, and you can do it daily, even if you can only do it for 5 minutes or 10 minutes at a day. Just go for it. Do it. Get the hours in. Build the habit of doing it. And if that is who you are, like in the grand scheme of things, then that's how you will evolve. You will fill those shoes eventually. But yeah, just for the time being, don't expect anything, but keep yourself accountable and do the thing that you want to do. That's my parting words for you and everybody else.
Those are excellent parting words. Maybe I might have to start taking 5 or 10 minutes a day and picking up a guitar. So
I think so. I think it'll be a good idea, even if for the sake of again, like turning off from the rest of the world, or like turning off your normal sort of persona or whatever. You can step into the shoes of a musician for 10 minutes.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, man. I appreciate you, and I look forward to speaking again soon. And thank you to everybody who is here. This is the Bitcoin Art Podcast, and you can find us at bitcoinartpodcast.com or bitcoinartbroadcast.com. So thank you, Kontext.
Thank you, my man.
All right.
Thank you, everybody else. And I'll see you guys.
Peace out.
Peace.